All right. So last time we did some level design. You could have skipped that one, but this time what I want to do is set up the choice. So like I said earlier, a long time ago in another video, I want to set it up so that you have certain powers depending on which route you choose. So on this route, obviously you're going to have the shrinking power, and on this route you're not. And on this route, I wanted you to get the sword, and on this route, I wanted you to get the gun. So I put it behind the wall. So now what I wanted to do is like if you're making this same game, cool, let's follow along, and you know what I'm saying, you can do this. But this episode is more so like so you can get like ideas on how to do stuff. We're going to play around with the level blueprint again, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth, and I'll talk you through what I'm doing. All right, so first thing is I added these squares or these cubes, just flatten them out, and I put them on the ground. And these are going to be like my little pads. So I want them to step on a pad, I want the pad to light up, and then I want them to be able to choose if that's the path they want to take, right? So we're going to have to create a couple things. First off, let's create a new material. In my starter content materials, I'm just going to right click and I'm going to make a new material. The new material I'm going to call is glow. And we can call it glow red or glow purple, whatever color you're going to make it. I'm going to do purple. In the material, double click on it to open it up. Hold the number 3. Hold the number 1 and left click. And then you'll get these two things. And then hold M and left click. Hook the top one up to A. Hook the bottom one up to B. And hook the multiply up to emissive. Now, for the bottom one, we need to set how bright it's going to be. So we'll make it super bright, like 1.2 is good. And then for the top one, choose the color. So double click on the black space and choose your color. So like I said, I want mine purple, pink. And that's fine. And then save. And it'll save and you don't have to apply. Because once you save, it'll already apply. So you can X out of that. Now, for me, I also want another color. So we can start those off as like, I don't know. Let's start it off as like a color like, so they know that they have to go step on it. Let's make it, I just want to use one of these basic ones. So we'll use this, concrete. That sounds good. So for the base color, I'm going to make it concrete. And then for the, when they step on it, I want to make it glow. Alright, cool. Put that into the floor like that. Alright, now what we need to do is, if you have a wall right here, since I do, I want this wall to disappear. Or I want it to move. So first I'm going to put movable, just in case I want it to slide up. I might just make it just disappear. We'll see. And that's cool. We'll do that for both of them. So movable. And then we need to put a trigger box attached to this square. So this square knows to change material. So on this square, what we're going to do is we're going to first left click on the square. And then up here, you're going to see this button. Click on that. And then you're going to make a class for it. So this is going to be my room 1 trigger. Okay. And we're going to put it, make sure you have it in the folder where you want it. So mine's going to be in third person, blueprints, and I'll just put it in the blueprint folder. Room trigger 1. Cool. So now you're going to see this come up. We can add components to it, which we need to add a box collision. Alright. And then fix the bounds of the box collision. The way you do this is change the box extent over here. So it's like change that. And I want mine to cover the whole box. Just like that. Now we're going to use this code to do something. We're going to use that box to make some code. So as the box is selected, come down here and on component begin overlap. And other actor, drag off and right third person character. Cool. And what else do we want to happen? We want the material of the static mesh to change. So drag off this static mesh and then drag off this and say set material And the new material we want is that glow material that we just made. So glow purple. Cool. Save. Now if your like static mesh has more than one material here, then you'll have to change the element depending on or the element index depending on which material you want to change. But remember, material is just the color that we're using, so we're going to change it to that. So boom, this one only has one. So when the player overlaps that, that's what I want to happen. I want some more stuff to happen, but that's all right now. And for this one, let's do room 2 and set it up the same way. So left click over here, put it in the right folder, which mine's in the blueprints folder, it should be. Cool. And we'll call it door 2 trigger. Alright, add a box. Same thing with the box. Change the extent. The reason why you do the extent is because you want the box to trigger. Sometimes if you don't move the extent and you just scale it, it acts funny. So the extent is actually the whole box. Alright, so now that you got that, cool, let's write the code here too. So in the event graph for the box, come down on the right hand side, on component overlap, third person, boom. And what do we want to happen? We want the static mesh to change colors. So drag off the static mesh and say set material. Hook that up and make sure that the material is the glow purple. Oops, there you go. Mine's there. Compile, save. Now what you can do is you can save and you can test it out and make sure that it works. When you walk over it, it should glow purple. Perfect. Now we can do the end overlap on both of them to make it not glow purple. We want it to change back to the concrete. So while number 1 is selected, go over here, open up the blueprint, and go on the box, and instead of begin, let's click end overlap. You can copy and paste the third person character, and you can actually copy and paste everything, honestly. Copy and paste. Now you want to set the material back to concrete. So that's the one I had at concrete tiles. So now when they walk off of it, it'll turn back to concrete. Same here, we need to do the same thing. Open the blueprint and just copy everything. Copy, paste. And then for the first part, what we'll do is click on the box and end overlap instead, and then we'll just hook it up. Make sure it's other actor to the object. And make sure you change your material back to concrete. Perfect. Alright, now that that's set up, let's test it out and make sure it works before we move on to the next part. Boom, boom, okay. Boom, boom. Alright, now what we want to do is we want a widget to come up to say choose path 1, yes or no. Choose path 2, yes or no. So let's go into our folders here. In our HUDs, right click, and we're going to go down to make a new user interface. Widget blueprint. User widget. And we'll call this door 1 choice underscore WB. WB is widget blueprint. So open it up, find a canvas panel. So type canvas, drag that in. Right click on your canvas panel and wrap it with a scale box. Then right click on the canvas panel and wrap it with a size box. Click on your size box, and in the right hand side you'll see under child layout, width and height. Change the width to 1920 and the height to 1080. Cool. Alright, so now what we need is the words and the buttons. So we'll drag out 2 buttons here, a yes and a no button. So we'll make it kind of big. and we can just duplicate that. There we go. So we've got two buttons, yes and no. And let's drag it here and here. Now, when you're setting up and you're polishing your game, you go back and make sure these are perfect. Also, make sure that the buttons are anchored to the middle of the screen. Each one. Okay. On the buttons, we're going to drag off and put a text on each one. So put a text on top of each button. And then click on your text, and left one we're going to say yes. And on the right one, we're going to say no. Okay. And then at the top, we're going to say choose path 1. So drag off the text and say choose path 1. And then to make it bigger, you can come to the size here, drag the size up. And then I always make my box fit the size so I can just drag it here. And then I'm going to put that in the center as well. Anchor it to the middle. Now, this is very simple choice. Choose path 1, yes or no. If they choose yes, then we need some things to happen. So, what will happen is let's figure it out. But if they choose no, we need everything to close down. So that's going to be easy. So click on your no, and over here on the right hand side, scroll down and on clicked. That means when the mouse first clicks on it, that's when it's going to happen. On pressed is when the mouse unclicks on it. So like when you release your mouse. And also, you should look those up in the UE5 documentation. I always use on pressed. A lot of people use on clicked, but I like to make mobile sometimes or convert my games to mobile. And if I have it on pressed initially, then when I do it on the screen when they're just tapping, it makes it easier. So when they press the no, we want to remove widget, remove from parent. There we go. And we want to right click and get player controller. And what we're going to do is set input mode to game only. And also set show mouse cursor to false. We haven't set that to true, but it's okay. Cool. So that's what they press no. And so we want that to happen on door 1. But before we do that, let's just right click and duplicate that and call it door 2 choice. So rename that to door 2 choice. Alright, cool. And on this one, instead of choose path 1, we'll just change that to say choose path 2 over here. Game development is about making hard things easy, basically. Efficiency. Okay. So sorry about that. When path 1 is active, we want this door to be destroyed. So what we want to do is destroy the actor here. So on this room trigger 1, let's go to the blueprint, open this, and go to the viewport. Now here, what we need to do is add a component and add a cube. And the cube is on its own. Cool. Drag it up like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it into the shape of that door, kind of. It doesn't have to be exact, so don't worry about getting it exact, but you just want to get it in the shape of the door because we'll fix it on the outside. This is going to be a one-time occurrence. If you had multiple of these boxes, then you might want to fix it in the blueprint. But we're only going to have this once. Alright. For that material, we want to set it as the same material as the door. So go to your content, starter content, material, and what is it? This one right here. Hex tech hex. So I'm going to set that there. Perfect. And I'm also make sure that it's movable. Compile, save. So as you see right here, there's a door here. I can delete this one that I have here, and we're going to move this one into place. We don't move it from here, because you have to click on the actual cube and move only the cube. There you go. So now we have our door. And this door is attached to here. So it's going to follow some code that is attached to our trigger. Alright, and I'm just sizing my door up, making it the right size. Cool. So now that the door is a component of this whole trigger box, what we can do is move component 2. So we're going to move the component up in the Z direction, you see in the blue. So click back on your trigger box, go here, open editor, and here we'll go to the HUD actually, so it has to be on the yes. So go to your HUD in your third person, blueprints, HUDs, go to your door 1. When they choose yes, we're going to give the player character a variable. So cast it a third person character. And then write player character here. Cool. And then we're going to give them a variable, but we can't do it from here. So we need to open up their actual blueprint and put it inside of here. So let's add a variable says door 1 question mark, and then we'll add one that says door 2 question mark. Cool. Alright, so set, drag off, go back into your HUD, your door choice, and we're going to set that door 1 to true. And that's if they choose yes. Also, what we're going to do is we're going to remove all this stuff up here. So you can copy and paste. So you can remove from parent, because we want the widget to go away. We want the player controller to go back into the game mode, and we want the mouse cursor to go away. So we're going to unclick both of those. Okay, so when they click yes, the third person character's door 1 will be set to yes. Save. Okay. Now that their door 1 is set to yes, so when they walk in here on the room trigger, it's going to set the material, and then we want it to create widget. The one we want is door 1. Okay, and then from there you want to add to viewport. There we go. Bow. And down here, when they walk away from it, you want to remove the widget from. So get all widgets of class, and then choose that door 1, and off of here say remove from parent, and make sure the blue is hooked up as well. Okay, also we want to make sure that when this opens up, the mouse shows up. So right click and say get player controller, and then we're going to drag off of that and say set show mouse cursor, and also drag off of it and say set input mode, and we want it to be game and UI. Cool. So for the mouse cursor, we want it to be true here, and for that we want to hook that up, and then for the widget to focus on, drag it and hook it up to display. Perfect. So that means when they cross over that, it's going to ask them, do they want to say yes or no. Okay, perfect. And then we need to put down here, we can just copy these, hold shift to select multiple, and then copy and paste. And what we want is the mouse cursor to go away. And actually, we don't need this one. And then we want input mode to be game only. Alright, cool. Compile and save. And basically what's going to happen is when you overlap the box, it's going to set the material to the purple. It's going to bring up the choice. And then it's going to bring up the mouse and allow us to click on that choice. When you leave the box, it's going to set the material back to concrete. Then it's going to get that choice that's on the screen. It's going to take it off the screen. It's going to hide the mouse, and it's going to set the game back to input game only. So I believe that is correct. I think when mine just crashed here, so I gotta redo this part right here. So I'm gonna move my cube back. And one really important part is save all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because Unreal Engine, it does crash, and especially if you do like big things in it, it'll crash. Or if you have a lot of memory taken up, it will crash. Okay, alright, so this is what we're going to do. Now that that's there and the code is written correctly, we're going to get a choice. But we need our choice to make this door disappear. So what we're going to do is go into our HUD, starter content HUD. Oh, it's going to be my third person. Oh, sorry. Third person, blueprints, HUDs. Door choice 1. Let's make sure that I'm going to make sure my code is still there. Everything's good. Alright, so on the yes, we need to fix that code up. So on press, blah, 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 it's going to give them variable of door 1 true. And then let's say at the end of this, get all actors of class. And the class that we want is the door 1 choice. So find that door 1 trigger. So it will be room 1 trigger, room 1 trigger. And that one, what we want to do is destroy actor. So we don't need that. We can hook this straight up here. Compile, save. So let's try this one out. Maybe this might work. So boom, choose path yes. There we go. Alright, cool. So then you're going to be on this path here. Oh yeah, I already said we got to fix her animation. So her jumping animation is pretty off. But that's working right there. And also this lava is too high up. Let me drag it down. There we go. Cool. I told you this is going to be an episode where we're just figuring out how to make this choice work. So we got that one working all correctly. We can duplicate that to make this one work correctly. Or we can make it over because we already have the choice here. So I say let's just make it over. We know that works correctly here. Okay, cool. So for this, let's delete this door here. And for this, let's open it up, open blueprint, viewport. Let's add a cube. I always want to say sphere. Fix your cube so that it's like in front. I suppose. I don't know which way it was. We'll fix it later. We'll fix it on the outside, and that's fine. It's a one-time occurrence. So again, it shouldn't really matter that much. Something like this. Okay. Sound like somebody's old aunt. Alright. Change the cube to that hex. Bow. Compile, save. So we need to fix this cube. So the cube, let's move it into place. And we'll move it up here. There we go. Alright, so when they run into this box, we need the other one to come up. So we need the door choice 2 to come up. So let's open this up. open this up, and we already got some code. So when they run into it, it's going to change the material, and then we need to create a widget. I'm doing this just so you can get it out of repetition. The more you do this, the better you're going to be at it. Like, I started doing game development in 2020, so I'm not the best, but I know what I'm doing at least. Get player controller. We're going to say set show mouse cursor to true. We're going to say set input mode, game and UI. And we're going to hook that one to this blue, the blue to the blue. You know what I'm saying? It's always colors. Cool. For the bottom part here, we're going to copy and paste, but what we need to do is get widgets of class. So get all widgets of class, select the door to choice, and we need to remove it from the viewport. So remove from parent. Hook the blue to the blue, and then after that, set the show mouse cursor to false, and drag off of here and set input mode to game only. Wow. Alright, cool. So that's going to pull up that widget and make the widget go down. The last step, what we need to do is we need to make sure when they press yes that this disappears. So we'll come into the door choice 2, and when they press no, that should already be set up. Good. So back in the designer, click on yes, and then let's do that on pressed. Alright, so what we want to happen is when they press it, cast as a third person character. I always say just write third person character. Okay, player character over here. You want to get player character. Okay, and then from there you want to set door to true. Alright, and from there, after that, you want to do exactly how we have it set up in the other one. So you can look at the other one here. You can copy and paste. That's what I'm about to show you. So you have it, door, everything else afterwards we can copy and paste. So copy, and then click on your other one, click in a blank space, and paste. And so you can copy from one to the other. That's pretty dope. So after the door 2, we want to remove the whole widget from parent, set the controller back to what it needs to be. Then we want to get the room trigger 2. So it would be door trigger 2. Door 2 trigger. Yep. And we want to destroy that actor. Compile, save. Last things last. First we could test that out. Let's test it out. Always gotta test. Choose path 2. Yes. Bow. Okay, so that's gonna destroy. Okay. Now, if they run into here and they already have door 1 chosen, this will do nothing. So open blueprint editor for this. And when they run in here, let's go ahead and drag right here and put a branch. Connect that branch up and only connect to true. Or actually connect false, sorry. I'll show you why. Drag off of here. So if they have door 1 when they're trying to open door 2, so if door 1 is false, then do all this extra stuff. But if door 1 is true, don't do anything. You can put it down here to be safe, but I like to just be thorough. Copy, paste. It's not necessary because it's going to work correctly. It's logic. All right, perfect. Oh, sorry. Hook that up to the blue. Colors. All right, so if the door 1 is true, they can't do anything with door 2. Only if door 1 is false. Bow. Alright. Now we need to do that same thing for door 1. So click on door 1, over here, open, and at the beginning, drag it back, and we're going to do the same thing. So if door 2 though, so get door 2, and then put a branch. If door 2 is false, everything can work. But if it's true, we don't want it to do anything. Same with down here. Hook that up and that. Bow. Cool. Now they have a choice, okay? The player has a choice to make. And we'll explain it to them when they first walk into this room. You could choose door 1. Or, hold on here. Alright, so go back into door 1, and on the bottom part, just take that off. Hook that back up. We just want it to go away. Compile, save. Yeah. Alright, so let's try that out. Yeah, perfect. So you can pick that, press no, and it goes away. If you click it and walk off, it goes away. Cool. And we'll fix it in door 2 as well. So me being thorough was doing the wrong thing. So should have just kept to my logic. Bow, bow. Alright, facts. Now last thing we're gonna do, because it's a long video. I just wanted to do this one to set up the choice. Last thing we need to do is give them the powers that they need on each one. So, if door 2 is true, we want her to have the shrinking powers. But if door 1 is true, we don't. So, let's go into our character, blueprint. On the shrink, they'll only be allowed to shrink if door 2 is true. So, grab off of door 2. Get it. Hold B for a branch. Hook it up to pressed. And then hook the true up here. Cool. So now they can't shrink unless they have door 2. So that's one power that we have locked up behind there. What else powers? We have the dash power and the heal power. Let's say healing is reserved for door 1, because this is going to be harder. You have a sword and you're going to be on platforms and lots of cool things going to happen on that one. This one you're going to have a gun, you're going to need the dash, you're going to have to make crazy jumps. So, I think both of them should be able to dash. Just one has shrink and one has heal. Alright, facts. Let's do that. So, for door 1, let's go to our character, and for our heal ability, let's lock that up behind door 1. So put a branch, hook that to pressed, hook this to true, and we are going to find door 1. Cool. So if they have door 1, then they can heal. Dash, I'll leave that alone. I like the dashing ability in both when you're big size and little size. But now we have a different ability for each door. Cool. I think that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to cover in this. So if she chooses door 2, she'll be able to shrink. When we play the game, or when we set up the game, we'll put a widget there that tells her that, hey, now you can shrink. Press the Z key to shrink, and you can walk through here. And we'll also set up so that she can't do this. Watch this. We don't want that to happen. So we're going to put a can shrink and a not shrink. Actually, we can do that now. If can shrink is true, then she will be able to shrink. So in our third person character, I know this video is long, so I'm just going to add it to this one. So write can shrink. Compile, save. And what we're going to do is here we're going to set it to true automatically. So she can automatically shrink. But in certain areas we're going to set it to false. Like this area right here, where she can't use that ability anymore. So let's put a trigger box and make this trigger box fill up the whole area where you want her not to be able to shrink in. Cool. So when she's in this area, she will not be able to shrink. On the right hand side, let's open a blueprint. Let's put it in our blueprints folder. Third person blueprints. Okay. And we'll call it can shrink underscore BP. Okay, and on the event graph, third person character on event overlap, event actor begin overlap, and then we're gonna set can shrink to false. Set can. Oh wow. Oh, because I'm casting to the game mode, yeah. I'm tripping. Third person character can shrink. Set it to false. Okay, compile, save. And on end overlap, we need to set it back to true. So right click and say end overlap. And third person character, copy, paste, and set it back to true. So now we've got a trigger box that we can use, size it up however we want to. So when she walks in it, she cannot use the shrinking ability. So let's test that one out. And that will be the last thing I add, I promise, for this video. That's all I really wanted to make this choice like pop. So you walk over it, boom, boom, choose your path. Yes. There's one more thing I didn't do. Here we didn't set up the code. So in the trigger box, she can and can't shrink, but we need to put that on her character. So on shrink, one more branch. So if door 2 is true, she could shrink. And also if can shrink, is true. Cool. So now it should work perfectly. I'm on the other side of the door, my bad. Let me go back on the other side. Okay. So I cannot shrink right now. Pressing Z. Walk over here. I press yes. I can shrink now. I'm pressing Z. I can't grow bigger. That's great. But when I walk out here, I can. Bow. So I need to make my trigger box a little bit bigger, as you see. That's what just happened there. So hold on. I know I'm almost done. Let's R on this trigger box to make it that, so she doesn't get caught in the walls. Right? Make it just like that. 'Cause I don't want her to get caught. There we go. Now, choose this path over here. Yes. Z. Now I can shrink. No, I cannot. Now I can get back. Ah, sick. So now we're going to be setting up little tunnels over here to make this area like an area where you have to grow and you have to shrink to pass it. And for this area over here, one, we can't even get over here because we have two. So everything is set up perfectly. Yeah, I know this was a very, very long episode, guys. Oops. I know this was a long episode, but it'll be well worth it in the end because now we're going to start working on our Route 1, which has platforms. So I'm going to show y'all how to do platforms, and we're going to do some other cool level obstacles like fire shooting out the wall and like spikes coming out, maybe fireballs shooting out the lava, and make this area a little bit tough. And we'll also add some enemies to hit with this sword. So I'll see y'all in the next episode. Thanks for joining me on this very long episode. I'll see you next time. Peace.